What is up, you guys, and welcome back to Growing Upstairs. We're so glad you joined us today. Now to your hosts, Noah and Holden.
What up, what up? Welcome back to the podcast studio.
Man, Holden,
What a difference.
is this the podcast studio?
It's the podcast studio, and it looks like a studio up in this thing.
What in the
now.
world?
Dude, this is awesome.
Awesome.
Awesome, dude.
It is awesome.
Welcome to Growing Upstairs. This is probably the only time we'll do this. This is the first episode of season 2. Season 2 of Growing Upstairs. So people that don't know who we are, I'm gonna let you guys guess. Probably based on the voice, if you listen to season 1 at least.
Yeah.
That guy right there, that's Noah. This guy right here,
That's Holden.
that's Holden. So, in future, for future reference, if you guys are watching us now, because we're now on YouTube, if you guys see us, now you'll know who's who.
That is true. I haven't even thought about that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's why I was like, well, I guess on the first episode, we should at least be like, all right, I'm Holden, and this guy over here, that's Noah. So that way you guys know who we are.
Exactly.
Once the time comes. So, hey, we're so excited for season 2 and all the things that are going on. We've got this cool, awesome studio that we get to hang out and talk in and do everything that we've done in season 1, but now you guys get to see our faces at the same time. But the goal and the purpose of this show has not changed, and it's not going to change. You'll see it up here on the screen with our logo. It is that we are growing with God together. That's the purpose of this show, and you guys get to see us visually now. Hopefully, that's just another stepping stone and a way to disciple to others by being able to see us on YouTube. So
For sure.
such a fun and exciting thing, and I really look forward to seeing what season 2 has to hold.
Me too, man. I'm excited. Ever since we started talking about getting the room together and getting different things picked up for it, and now we're actually in here and we're getting to do this and come back together for season 2. Like you said, I mean, it's the lights and the room is awesome. It's cool. It's something we're excited about going on YouTube now and doing. But it's still all glory to God. And hopefully, like you said, this can just be another outlet where people can come to know Him. So.
Absolutely. I'm fired up about it. And I know also, season 1, we also want to tell you guys and say, hey, thank you guys to you as well. Season 1, do you know, in just 19 small episodes, we had over 1,000 listens in that short amount of time.
It's crazy.
And oddly, the number has actually continued to grow over the months. I'll occasionally look back at it and I'm like, oh, there's still people listening, even though we're not necessarily recording live right now. And I was like, well, that's kind of a neat thing too that's going on there. But now that we're getting this thing started, there's still some places that you can still find us. Where's that at, Noah?
And they can still find us on Instagram and still find us on their favorite podcast platforms, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, even iHeartRadio and different places like that. But now, like we said, we're going on YouTube as well. So it's going to be cool to see how that goes. But yes, thank you guys so much just for listening. It's kind of crazy to think that people would want to listen to us talk for like an hour a week. But, it's fun. So we enjoy getting to do it and just excited about another season, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. And let's get right into it. Again, the purpose of this show, Growing with God Together, we talk about Jesus, life, music, and more. And we have a lot of life to catch up on because it's been, what did we finish, middle of December?
Right before Christmas.
Yeah. So obviously we were playing 76 Christmas games back then before we wrapped up season 1. So we've got a lot of life to catch up on. So Noah, what in the world has been going on in your life over the last, again, almost 4 months it feels like?
I know. It's been crazy. Had another birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Thanks, man. Yeah, 24. It's crazy. But had another birthday. Just celebrated Christmas, New Year's. We even got Easter that we had during that time. But just busy working and keeping
same old.
But a lot of projects going on in the upstairs. Like, I know we'll get to that some, but we've both kind of been a part of that. We got to play D Now. We did get to play D Now, upstairs worship.
Yep.
Got the chance to play D Now here in our local area and had a great time with that. So it's been a good little season as we've prepared the room and gotten things together to get started again. So
yeah.
What about you?
Man, it's the same. Just busy, life and everything. Did get to see Georgia play FSU, but we're not going to talk about that. That's been a while back, and I don't think it's really worth talking too much about.
I really hate you brought that back to my memory, Holden.
I'll try to fast forward right past it. I just wanted to glimpse past it because me as a Georgia fan, I can't just look right past it.
Well, the Braves did just start back, so
That's
they're playing good. So
it's a plus. We're on fire right now. That was another thing. Like I was listening, I was like, let's see what things were like when we left. And that was one of them. It was, we're not watching the Braves anymore because that time was over. Which I guess that was like October. That was actually further back than I'm thinking now because that was December. But anyways, other than that, that's been it. It's been working, just trying to kind of get through things. We've had a lot that's been going on at work that's kind of changing, and then a lot that's kind of staying the same too. So it's just been a busy time. Like you said, we've had a lot upstairs, kind of finishing some remodel stuff that's been going on here, and then obviously this room and the fun things that we've had going on here. But what do we have coming up? Like what are the next things on the docket as far as?
Well, as far as youth goes, we've got we're getting close to graduation time.
Oh yes! Oh my goodness!
We've got a lot of our youth kids who are getting ready to graduate and go on to that next chapter of life, and hopefully still come back and see us and visit us. But it's exciting when you get the chance to see some of the kids you've poured into for a couple of years now go out and go into college, and I know that's where really my relationship with the Lord seemed to really take off and grow was in college. So it's an exciting new chapter. There's new challenges and stuff that come with it. So, as those kids get ready for that, we're looking forward to it for them.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like youth was such an impactful time in my life as well, which I think we're going to kind of talk about that in our topic, Growing Upstairs today or Raising the Meter later. Same thing. It's hard to believe really that it's kind of come and gone this fast for some of the youth that we have in here that'll be graduating and moving on. And, we've had a couple that they've left, and occasionally they'll kind of come back and hang out with us, and we'll all do stuff and talk and everything. But it's always kind of bittersweet too. It's like, it's been awesome having them here, and again, trying to pour into them the same that we were poured into back in the day. And then it's like, all right, go spread your wings out there, But anyways.
Yeah, that's coming up. We're still doing regular, youth Wednesday nights and stuff. That's one of the biggest things I can think of right off the top of my head.
Yeah. I guess we got Mother's Day coming around the corner too. Summertime's coming where everything kind of gets a little bit crazier during summertime.
I don't know.
VBS.
Yeah, VBS is coming up.
Running games again. Let's go.
Be out there refereeing some games.
I know. It's so much fun. Oh, we had the RA Derby last week. That's what we were doing.
Did. That was good.
That was fun, too. We got to be commentators for that. It's like we do this, and people, I guess, they were like, well, if they can do that, they can do this. They can comment on that.
We're utility guys.
That's what it is. I like looking at it that way. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much kind of catching us up to at least today.
A brief summary of
a brief summary, because otherwise we could probably sit here and go month by month and talk for 45 minutes just about what's happened since Christmas. Anyway, what'd you get for Christmas? Go all the way back to that. Some clothes, yeah, that's right. Once you get older, the thing that you didn't really like getting as a kid, now you get all the time.
Oh, yeah. You get excited about
it, too. Exactly.
You get excited about a new pack of socks.
Then you start getting a house, and it's like, I got a dishwasher. And you start getting excited about it.
Dude, I remember when I got my washer and dryer. I was pumped.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like, I was so excited. I was like, I get to wash clothes now.
I no longer have to go to mom and dad's to wash my clothes, which is a huge thing for me anyways. All right, so let's get to the first topic of the day. That's going to be, I'll let you kind of introduce what the topic is. It's going to be yours. It's Noah's Random Minute. I'll at least play the sound for you, and then I'll let you kind of explain it. Hopefully it won't be too loud.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to need to put, like, on the screen, cars crashing and just a bunch of crazy stuff happening at the same time when it comes to that. But
it's kind of funny hearing that sound again. It's been a couple months now since I've heard that sound.
Oh, I know.
I forgot about the beans, greens, and the potatoes and tomatoes.
Me too, until I clicked it.
But yeah, so Noah's Random Minute. We're starting season 2, so we got to bring Random Minute back. But I was telling Holden, it's interesting to maybe try something different with season 2. I know we've talked about doing different random stories and stuff, things that's happened in the youth group, and we'll still try to do some of that. But also kind of want to do something a little different where we just do Noah's Random Minute of talking about random facts that you didn't know that you needed to know. So these are just going to be crazy random facts, maybe about animals or whatnot, things that might be going on in the world, history, just facts that you had no idea this was a thing, but you really needed to know that.
You didn't know that you needed to know.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah. So we'll talk about this. Will be random fact number one. We'll do three. So, did you know that hippos and horses are actually distant relatives?
What? What?
Yeah. If you didn't know that, you know it now.
I didn't. You see, you nailed it perfectly off the top there. Things you didn't know that you needed to know, right?
Exactly.
Here. Hippos and horses, they're related. So what is it exactly that makes them related? You got the info on that at least?
I don't. I just I know that they're related though, and you needed to know that.
Perfect. Well, now we know hippos, horses, related in some way.
That's right.
Do you know how fast hippos are when they're in the water, though?
Oh, are they really?
Yes. Like they tell you, if you're in the water with a hippo, you better get out the water.
Are they as fast as horses on land?
That's a great question.
That may be how they can.
No, I might be onto something here.
I mean, you never know.
Hippopotamus. I want a hippopotamus.
I did not get that for Christmas.
All right, fact number 2.
All right, fact number 2. And this one, I think this was pretty good.
All right.
Because fact number 2 is that goats have accents.
So when you say accents.
And so I just think this is perfect for where we're at in South Georgia because there's just goats around this area, but I just know goats have Southern accents. Like you know they have Southern accents. Hey Billy.
Hey, what's your name? Billy.
Like they have to have Southern accents.
What's another good what would be another good goat name? You got Billy, which is
Bob.
Bob.
That's a sheep. they may be relatives too, though. You never know.
There's got to be some kind of relation between them.
Oh.
So the horse and the hippo, they're related. Horses are fast on water, horses are fast on land, hippos fast in the water.
Yeah.
Now we got Bob and Billy. They got to be related.
Yeah.
The sheep and all right, back to
All right, here's your third random fact, last one for the day.
Okay.
All right. Did you know that sloths can hold their breath for up to 40 minutes?
But why? I don't why?
I don't know.
Are they swimming? They just do.
I don't know what kind of survival, reason that they have that, but they do. They can hold their breath for 40 minutes.
That's very interesting.
That's like longer than some naps that I'm able to get some afternoons.
Do you think that that's the reason that they just kind of...
Yeah, they're probably I don't know. Sloths are weird animals anyway, but they can hold their breath for 40 minutes.
Now you know.
I bet you didn't know that you needed to know that.
I didn't know. I didn't know I needed to know that, and I'm still not sure if I needed to know it. but regardless, somebody's going to be sitting there, and it's like Jeopardy or something. It's like, how long can a sloth hold it? Ding, ding. What is 45 minutes? What'd you say, 40 minutes? Well, I mean, if he can make it 40, he can make it 45.
He can definitely
right?
do 5 more.
It's got to be at least pretty close. Anyway, so that's the 3 facts
I'm
of the
glad
day.
I was able to tell you that now that you all know that.
All right, so let's run back through it. Number 1.
Hippos and horses are relatives. Goats have Southern accents.
Goats have Southern accents.
And sloths can hold their breath for 40 minutes.
All right, so let's go back to the goat thing here. If you had to, all right, I do this all the time. Like with my dog or something, I'll be like, hey, the dog will be running around the room, and I give the dog a voice.
Uh-huh.
You ever do that where you're like, your dog's running around, it's like, what's going on over here? Oh, I want to check out what's going on over here.
I don't do that very much, but I have been around when you've done that with my dog in the room. And
I forgot about that. We're right.
It is quite hilarious.
Yeah. I like giving them voices.
And I think different dogs probably would have different accents and voices, like you said.
We do change them up quite often because, like our outside dogs, they have different voices than the inside dogs.
They have split personalities.
Yeah. Not that it's like inside voices and outside voices. It's just, some animals, they're just different. Like I have a really, really smart Australian Shepherd. Smart as a whip. Probably one of the smartest dogs I've ever had. And then her counterpart that hangs out with her in the kennel, Bless her heart. Not quite the same. So they have slightly different voices.
Yeah.
Real smart one, sounds fairly intelligent. And then the other one might not sound quite as intelligent as the other.
Well, Riley does have an inside and an outside voice.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
When he's inside and wants to have an outside voice, how do you feel about that? No?
Yeah, it's pretty loud. About like those goats accents.
Bob, did I send you the video a while back? This guy's walking and he's like, all right, so the zoo's over there. I don't know if that matters. And he's under like an underpass or, like an overpass cars or whatever. And he looks up and there's a goat just standing on the side of the bridge. I should have found this video so that way we could go through it because I feel like that would be kind of funny to have that just to look at and be like, this is what I'm talking about. But if I find it, I'm going to send it to you and you can share it with our audience.
Yeah, you have to share it.
Yeah. That'll be fun.
We can put it on Instagram or something.
We'll put it on the gram. Make sure you follow us there so that way you guys can
For
get
sure.
that.
For sure. Good plug.
Good plug.
Yeah.
At Growing Upstairs on Instagram. Where else are we? Instagram. We ain't on Facebook, are we?
No,
just Instagram.
Now YouTube then.
YouTube, yeah. Hey, put it in the comments below.
Oh, I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah. Get to do that now.
Let's do this in the comments below. What accent do you think goats would have? It's got to be a Southern accent.
Could we give it like a person, a specific person, like, I don't know.
Okay, I got it. If it doesn't have a Southern accent, then goats have to have a Michael Caine accent. You know, Alfred from Batman?
Michael Caine. My name is Michael Caine. I could imagine a goat having that. Hello, my name is Michael Caine.
Yeah.
And I'm Batman. If you guys can't tell, we have a lot of fun together doing this.
Yeah, we sure do.
Stuff with the most random things that there are, because that is. I said this last season. I said one day we're going to go visual with this so that way you guys can actually see the terrible dad dance moves that I call them dad dance moves because I get to.
Yeah.
And now you get to see them, and now I'm wondering. I don't know that I like that they get to see our dance moves after all, because it's like we really just do a lot of this, and we changed the intro up a little bit too.
I'm a pretty bad dancer, honestly.
I am too. Don't worry, dude. I can't even do the church clap. These people watching right now, they can attest to that.
Yeah, they know.
They know. Nobody's gonna know, no. But they know when you can't dance. They totally know when you can't dance. All right. So we don't have any story times for you guys right now. Again, make sure you guys write into the show. Leave a comment below if you guys have a funny, embarrassing, awesome, amazing, inspiring, whatever it is, whatever kind of youth story you guys want to send in, do it on Instagram. Send it to our email, which I think is like at growingupstairs@gmail.com. I think it's also on there that same way. Or just leave it in the comment below here on YouTube. You can do it either way that you guys want to do it. But let's get to it.
We fixing to raise the meter.
More terrible dancing here.
To Aquafina, I need her. Yeah, we
Solo
fixing
Noah.
to raise the meter. To Aquafina, I need her.
I was going to say for a second, I was like, I don't remember if I made it where this sound cuts out or not, or if it just plays the entire time. But I'm glad to know now that it cuts out, which I'll probably have to change that now that we're on YouTube, because I'm sure we'll get a copyright thing coming through. But anyways, all right, so raising the meter. Here's the topic that we're talking about today. Forgiveness. Forgiveness is going to be the main topic, but forgiveness in our mistakes is also kind of going to be I guess you'd say a caveat to it. Yeah. So if you guys were in the upstairs at least, which is not going to matter for some of you guys who weren't, that are watching or listening to this at this point, this is going to play a lot off of the lesson that we had at New Year's, which you guys were at Passion. You didn't even talk about Passion off the top of this thing.
Oh, man, I sure didn't.
It's huge.
We can talk about it.
We can talk about it. We got a minute.
Yeah.
Or you want to save it and do it after?
Why don't I can incorporate some of it in with.
Man, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Sounds great. No. All right, so anyways. Noah, you a big cooker?
Cooker?
Yeah.
I dabble. I mean, I'd grill more than I cook, like inside. I can make a mean grilled cheese.
Yeah. I like to say I can make a killer peanut butter jelly sandwich.
Yeah.
Also in the same way. All right, so this doesn't necessarily have to be for cooking. I mean, this can be building something. This can be playing music. It can be a variety of different things, writing something. But you ever write something and then you just mess up? Or maybe you're singing a song and you just kind of mess up?
All the time.
You know,
this morning.
Did you really?
Yeah, I missed a chord.
I've completely missed a bunch of chords and an entire line. Anyways, so speaking of music, I'm not a really good piano player, but I remember this now. Back a couple of months ago, I like to do the same thing. I kind of like, I guess you'd call it dabble in not peanut butter jelly making, but playing with the piano, because I would love to be able to play the piano. It's such a pretty instrument to me. But I was kind of learning this one song, and I played it wrong. Like, there was a certain part of it where I'd actually played the part of the song wrong, and I was like, man, that wasn't right. But it actually kind of sounded good, you know what I mean?
Mm.
And I started thinking, I was like, all right, well, that wasn't right, but it sounded good, so maybe this can kind of work. Maybe this can kind of fill in the gap and sound good in that way. So, again, we're kind of talking about mistakes that we make and stuff. And sometimes in life, we make mistakes that can turn out for good. And I'm going to talk to you about a few here. Now, there are also times in life where we make mistakes and they're not for good.
Yeah.
Where we need forgiveness. And that's kind of where this comes from. But way back in the day, this is like the 1940s, a guy by the name of Harry Coover, he was attempting to make a clear plastic gun sight, right? What he was trying to make for military use. He created a substance that would stick to almost anything. And he was like, well, that's clearly not going to work for a gun sight, right? Mm. So he was like, all right, scraps it. A few years go by, he and another guy, they're working on, I think, trying to figure out how to seal up like a cockpit of a plane. So he's moved on to the next thing.
Did this guy make Flex Seal?
No, but that's a good one too. But turns out he ended up being the guy, I think it was a super glue that he ended up making.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he created super glue completely by mistake.
It's crazy.
The guy is trying to create at first, a plastic gun sight for guns in the military back in the 40s. Didn't work out. Ends up making a substance that's like super glue, threw it away basically, and then comes back to it years later by mistake, makes what we now know as super glue.
It's wild.
It is wild. And then I've got a couple other stories here too, because this was actually a very costly mistake, because they were using what I think is called like a refractometer, which is like $3,000 back then. And I did the math, and it's like $280,000 in today's world. Good. So it was a mistake indeed that he made, but ends up making super glue that he ends up making later on. So then safety glass, that's something we all have around now, especially, I'm not going to say it on here, but a few years ago, you went into a gas station or a store and they had like this safety glass up, so that way you couldn't essentially spit on somebody across from you. Right. And also something that was made by mistake. I have a list of a ton of things. This is probably my favorite though. Best one of all, chocolate chip cookies. Did you know?
Oh man,
made by
really?
Mistake.
It's the best mistake.
This lady, her name was Betty Crocker, right? No, just kidding. Her name was actually Ruth Wakefield. She would go on to make chocolate chip cookies. Back in like the 30s, she was trying to make chocolate cookies. And by making chocolate cookies, what you do, I guess, you take like Nestle chocolate chunks and you mix it in with this, and that's how you make it. Well, she didn't have that, so she took something else, put it in there thinking, hey, this will work. This will make chocolate cookies, because that chocolate chip cookies were not a thing yet.
Yeah.
So she does this, and it turns out it didn't melt. It just kept little chunks in the actual cookie itself. And lo and behold, guess what she made?
Chocolate chip cookies.
Chocolate chip cookies.
Hey, I'll just shout out to Miss Janet Palmer, if she's listening to this, lady at our church. She makes the best chocolate chip cookies ever. Have you ever had one?
I haven't, but we're gonna have to talk to her, and we're gonna have to have one.
They are amazing.
Does she make them occasionally, like when we have lunch or something up here?
I think so. Maybe every now and then she has, but
we might just have to see if she can make some just for.
Thank goodness for what's that lady's name? Ruby Wakefield.
Ruth Wakefield.
Ruth
Wakefield.
Now
if it wasn't for her, we might not have chocolate chip cookies.
And Miss Janet.
Oh, we're gonna have to get her to make some so we can put it up here on the table.
I want some chocolate chip cookies.
I know. Maybe I should have saved that one for later. All right. So another list of just a ton of things here. Microwave, made by mistake. Matches, made by mistake. cornflakes, silly putty, Post-it notes, Velcro, Slinky, bubble wrap, pacemaker, potato chips. All of them things that were made by mistake.
Say potato chips?
Potato chips.
Wow.
I don't have the story on that one because, again, I looked down this and I had a whole list of a ton of stuff that I could have put on here as like things that we could talk about and go through, but I didn't want to take up all of our day with a history lesson.
Yeah.
So I tried to at least slim it down to a few that were fun, like chocolate chip cookies, because chocolate chip cookies are good. So anyways, back to the whole point of this entire thing. Sometimes we make mistakes that turn out for good, and occasionally we make those that they don't. And sometimes when we make those that don't, we have to ask forgiveness. Sometimes the ones that we make in life that turn out for good at the moment don't look that way.
Right.
A couple of those that I was thinking of and I put in here for us to kind of go through, one of which is the story of Jonah and the big fish. You ever heard of the story of Jonah and the big fish?
Oh, yeah.
Most everybody, at least if you've been around church or in church, you know, growing up or maybe just in passing, you might have heard this as well. In Jonah 1, it talks about, well, all of Jonah talks about Jonah and the big fish. So God called Jonah to go to Nineveh and preach against them. And he decided not to be obedient in that. He made a mistake in not listening to God and decided to flee. So he goes, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in this, but he goes, gets on a boat, headed somewhere else. I wish I'd have wrote down where he's headed because I can't remember everything. But the seas get to rocking. Everything kind of gets kind of crazy on the boat. And he's like, throw me overboard. I know that this is my fault. Yeah. And at first they wouldn't do that. They actually said, we're not going to do that. You know, we can't just throw you overboard. Mm-hmm. And things just continue to get worse and worse and worse until finally they're like, all right, we're all going to die if this dude stays on here. So whoop, they throw him overboard. And what happens?
Big fish.
Big fish. Big fish comes up. And this is where we get the story of Jonah and the big fish. So while he's in the fish, God is actually speaking to him. And he's asked, I think he's realized, hey, I have made a mistake, God. Please forgive me. Please forgive me for this. And I think even in that moment, I think he knew that his mistake was bad enough that it's like, I could understand if he doesn't. But lo and behold, the fish spits him out. And he's like, thank you, God. He made a mistake by not listening to what God had called him to do, tried to flee from it, tried to run from it. And a lot of this story has a big impact on my life as well, the more and more I kind of read about it. And we'll talk about it here in just a minute. But realized his mistake, asked forgiveness of God, and God gave him that forgiveness. And then he did go and carry out what it is that God intended for him to do. And what I mean by that as far as like mistakes in the past, because I've done this and I've told this story before. I can't remember if I've told it on here or not. But youth was a huge impact on my life growing up and meant a lot to me. But years had gone by where I'd gotten saved while in youth group on a youth trip and was as close as I could possibly be with God. And then a couple of years went by, and I started becoming one of the older kids in the youth. Well, all of the older kids that were in our youth at the time, they had then graduated and moved on, speaking of graduation and everything.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden it was like, all right, well, I'm one of the older ones in here. And in my heart, for whatever reason, I felt like, I know everything they're teaching about. They're just teaching the same old thing. They're going back to some of the old stuff that I've already heard. And
yeah, I'm
the old kid here. I don't have to be here. I don't have to hang out with these kids. So I stopped going for a little while. And I was like, it's not a big deal. Yeah. I don't have to go. And then the next thing I know, I find myself not really going back. Mm-hmm. And we had changed youth ministers and different things, but I decided not to go back. And then it wasn't until later on in life that I started realizing it's like, no, you're running from God. You're doing the same thing Jonah did. God's calling him to go to Nineveh and do these things. God's calling us to listen and be in his presence and learn more about him, create disciples and all these things. And I was running the opposite direction. I was going ahead in a boat and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And other than here.
Right.
And the entire time not realizing, hey, you're making a mistake here. Mm-hmm. Decided I wasn't going to go to college right out of high school. Decided I'd just hang out and figure out what's going to happen in life. And I went down a really, really dark road where I was not who I am today. Mm-hmm. And all I wanted to do was sleep. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to go do anything. And I'd never heard or really thought of the word depression. I'd never heard or thought of anxiety, any of that stuff. None of that was a part of my life because it never had to be. And I started realizing that was a true and real thing in this world.
Right.
And realizing that I had made a really big mistake by doing all this, by not going to school, by running the opposite direction. And it wasn't until finally he was like, hey, man, you got to get a grip on what's going on in life, because right now you're headed the wrong direction. You're on a boat, and the waters are choppy, and everybody wants to throw you overboard, but I'm trying to talk to you.
Yeah.
And finally I realized the mistake I made and started praying to God like, hey, please help me figure out what it is that's going on, because I didn't realize the mistake I had made by not doing these things, by running the other direction. Finally, some of it I credit to who's now my wife. Meeting her, that was the thing that I was like, God, put somebody in my life that'll help put me back on track. And she was a huge help in that. And then it's kind of crazy because this was, just like 12 years or so ago, because I met her, I think, 11 years ago maybe. And then we come to this church. That's where they had been going. I think back in the day they had been at like Hopeful, and started going to this church. And I was like, all right, well, I'll join you guys. So I would come Sundays if I was in town or something. And then I moved over here, and that's, again, I was like, all right, well, I'm marrying this woman. Mm-hmm. So we got engaged, got married and everything. And ever since then, I've been here at the church. We've started playing music, and now, like 11 years later, here we are doing a podcast in a podcast studio after all this. But I realized in the time when I was leaving high school, you made a mistake. Mm-hmm. And the first thing that you have to do when you make a mistake, ask for the forgiveness that you need. Right. Because when I tell you I was running the opposite direction of where God was, that's what I was doing. I enjoyed my life without him, even though he was sitting right there next to me the whole time. And I love the picture that I shared with you a while ago. We might share that as well, where, we go off on these little tracks and everything, and he's still just sitting there waiting on us to come back. He never went anywhere.
Right.
He's been right there with us the whole time.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of, the story of Johnny you're talking about, and then just the idea of him waiting, being there for us and stuff. It reminds me a lot of the story of the prodigal son, where he, wants all of his wealth and inheritance and takes it and runs off and squanders it in, the things of the world. And then he gets to such a low that he is eating the food of the pigs, and he's wanting, he's longing to eat what the pigs are eating, and then he decides, what, I need to go back to my father. Maybe he would let me come back, and we see the father runs to meet him, in that story. And it just reminds me a lot of what you're talking about. He's seeking that forgiveness, and there the father is just waiting, for him, wants him to come back and be a part of the family, and he's not, mad or angry. He's there ready to run, even runs out to meet him. And I think one thing that's really hard with forgiveness is kind of an underlying thing that goes along with forgiveness, I think, is just our pride.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to swallow our pride. It's hard to ask the Lord to, help us to not be prideful. It's such me and our interim pastor, Brother Bruce, were actually talking about pride a couple weeks ago, and we got on the topic of sports because, we always like to talk about sports. I mean, just as guys, we enjoy, like we talked about the Braves being back, and we just love watching sports. And I know there's girls and ladies out there that enjoy it as well, and there's different things that go along with it. But sports, we were talking about how sports is really just built on pride. So much of sports is about I'm better than you, or and even though it's just a game, a lot of times that attitude spills outside of the game. The pride takes over, and you're better at this person than this, and this, that, and the other. And it's almost like it's teaching to be prideful in a way. And as much as we love it, that's can be the truth.
Yeah. I think that's also like, I find this sometimes too, where you almost have like a little, I don't know if you're the same way I am, where you kind of feel guilty sometimes how, man, we can get fired up for the Braves. I can get fired up for the Dogs on Saturday. And then you come to church sometimes on a Sunday and you're just like going through the motions. How somebody who you ask that forgiveness of, somebody who gave everything that they could possibly give to you, how we can't cheer in the same way for what he's doing in our lives or somebody else's lives for that matter. I kind of in that same way, that's a really good point, you know, when it comes to pride, because I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
You know, we become so accustomed to, and sometimes I think people go as far as it kind of becoming an idol too.
Yeah.
You know, where it's another thing you need to ask forgiveness for. If all of a sudden you're starting to really follow more of this, you know, whatever the trend is, whether it's a sports team or whatever it may be. I can't really speak for some of the girls because I'm not really sure. You know, I'd say Taylor Swift, but I don't want anybody to cancel us as soon as we go on this thing. But sometimes we kind of have that same thing where we get so prideful of our team and we forget like where we should stand.
Yeah.
And our purpose and what we should be doing. Again, falls right back to that same story of Jonah where it's like, hey, all right, I realize this. I'm making a mistake. I need forgiveness in that. And I also think, you know, we were talking with Brother Bruce about that also this morning and Peter, and how it's not just that we should ask forgiveness of, not just that we should ask forgiveness from God for the mistakes that we've made, but also our friends, you know, and our fellow man next to us who maybe we've wronged them in a way, or vice versa. And what did Brother Bruce say? You should ask forgiveness 70 times 7.
You should forgive, 70 times 7.
Yeah, and I think that's important too. It's not just us with the Lord. That's the most important, obviously, but you also have to have that same, get rid of your pridefulness too, and people in your life as well. Yeah. This life is way too short to just live and have all this angst towards somebody or all this anger towards somebody for whatever it is that may be causing that, whatever it is, whatever strife you may have gone through in life. I think it's so important that first you ask that forgiveness of Christ for whatever it is that is going on in your life, but also to that person that you may have an issue with, if that's the case, because I think some people battle that same thing.
It's kind of funny that we're on this topic today as we get started, because I don't know if you've been keeping up with different news stories in here and all here lately, but do you know the Christian singer Mandisa?
Oh yeah, didn't she just pass away?
Yeah. So as of this week, she did pass away, and it's just such a sad situation. Not really exactly sure what happened there, but you know, just hearing different Christian artists speak out and talk about her and her impact on others, and just to be around her and to hear those stories of being around her and how she was as a person and stuff. And so just very sad situation, you know, whatever might have happened. But I was reading an article on her this week, and that's why I think it's kind of funny that we're talking about forgiveness, because it was an article about her experience with forgiving someone. And I did not realize that she was actually on American Idol. That's where she got her start. And Simon Cowell was a judge on American Idol at the time that she was on there. And apparently he made a comment of some sort about her weight, you know, just and she, I think it had a very big impact on her. And you know, she, I think maybe like the next week or something like that on the show, she came back and was telling him it's the comments you made definitely had an impact on me.
Yeah.
But if my Savior could come down and die on the cross for me and forgive my sins, then I need to show you that same grace.
Yeah.
And you know, what a way to be remembered. You know, it's such a sad story of you know, her passing, but what a story to be your legacy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That you could stand up to, not necessarily stand up, but to have a voice for Christ on national television, to a reality star judge that has had such an impact on others. It's just it's really cool.
Yeah. I can't remember if we had talked about this in season 1 or if this may have just been something in passing. We've had so much, that we've done. We've gone through a whole nother series lesson with all of the youth all of the youth leaders. We'll get on in a couple of weeks and kind of touch on that. But exactly what you just said is something I've thought of before. And it's a big reason that I try my best, and I can't be perfect at it, but you need to forgive the people that are around you. Again, I've said that it's a short life, but if somebody who can die on the cross for you in your life can forgive you for all that you've done, which is much worse, I'm sure, than some other people, how in the world can we not take the time in the same way to forgive others that are around us for whatever it is that they may have done in their lives, to us, against us, for us, whatever it may be, like you say in that.
I mean, even in Colossians,
Yeah.
It tells us to forgive as the Lord has forgiven us, to bear one another's burdens. And, if we let our pride take over and we hold those grudges against people and we don't forgive in the way that the Lord has forgiven us, then we're not bearing each other's burdens. If you were to say something or do something to me and I just let my pride build up and decided I was never going to talk to you again,
Sad day.
I know that would be terrible. But that's definitely a thing that goes on in our world. When somebody does you wrong, you do to them how they've done to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the scriptures do tell us to bear one another's burdens and to forgive each other because of what the Lord has done for us.
Absolutely. I mean, the closest you can get to it, think of the thief on the cross is mocking Jesus as they're being crucified, is mocking him right next to him. And I mean, that's as close as you can get to the worst possible timing to mock anyone. And yet he realized in that same, wait a minute, this man truly is the Son of God. Forgive me. And right there, he said, you'll walk with me in paradise. That's another part of it. I mean, you're not perfect. It wasn't a perfect person that was up there next to him either. And how God can have that same grace even in that moment to say, I'll forgive you. And I think that's another telling point to say it's never too late. You're never too far. If a thief on a cross can be staring death in the eye and God can forgive him right there, I think doesn't matter how old you are, how close you are to death, forgiveness is still there, while also understanding who it is that is the Savior at the same time,
Yeah.
I think that's such an important part of it too. That was the other, I was trying to think if there were any other thing. But I mean, sometimes we make mistakes. Again, like I said, sometimes the mistakes we make, they're terrible. And it's never too late. We sang about it this morning. Man, you got to talk to Jesus. Get along, take that time, talk with Jesus, and ask for that forgiveness because he's willing to give it. He loves us so much that he's willing to forgive us. Does that mean that you should go out and do whatever you want to do? No. Does that mean that, he'll forgive me, I can do this, no big deal. Don't worry about it. No.
Right.
But at the same time, he will forgive you. I don't think we should take it for granted. Sometimes we make mistakes. You know what, Noah? Sometimes turns into chocolate chip cookies.
That's right.
Sometimes turns into chocolate chip cookies. You got anything else on the topic?
I don't. I think that's it's a good, first topic to kick us off with season 2. And it's just, if there's people out there listening who are struggling with forgiving another person or who are struggling with, asking someone for forgiveness, take it to the Lord. Like we said, take it to the Lord and just seek him, and then seek that other person out and reconcile in a Christian way. If you are Christian brothers and sisters who are holding grudges against one another, the scripture clearly says to forgive each other and bear each other's burdens just as Christ has forgiven us. And that might be a tough pill to swallow, but it's hard to live in unity when you're in disunity. Yeah. I know that's not a profound statement, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
When you're not unified and you're living in a way that is not forgiving others, then you're not in unity, and it's hard for a church and a community to thrive when there is that strife.
Yeah.
So
set it aside, and I would encourage you guys, if you're listening today and you are part of that, or you have somebody that you have this quarrelsome with, do it today. Don't wait, because you're not guaranteed tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we don't know the time, the day, any of that stuff that it's going to happen for us, but we also don't know when Jesus is going to come back.
Yeah.
We firmly believe that day is going to happen. It didn't happen during the eclipse when so many people thought that it was going to happen here recently, but there is a day and a time coming. We talk about a TikTok ban. That's kind of going around.
Yeah.
The only TikTok ban we need to be worried about is either in our own lives coming to an end or when Jesus comes back, and that's a time we need to be ready for.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Take that time today and really reflect. And like Noah said, if you have somebody that, man, you're really struggling with, where it's like, I know I need to forgive them, but I just can't, or I don't know how to. Take it to God, pray about it, and say, I can't do this on my own, because you can't. Right. Inevitably you can't at all.
And I think
and do that.
A lot of people, if like you're saying, do it today. Don't worry about how it's going to sound or how it's going to look, because the truth is when you do come to that person and ask for forgiveness, or you do go and forgive that person, you're getting on their level.
Yeah.
Like you're looking at them and saying, listen, I've messed up, or listen, I've been unforgiving. And it's okay to not have it all together. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a beauty in reconciling and coming back together.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be perfect.
Not at all. What a great raise the meter as we come back into season 2 right here.
We fixing to raise the meter to Aquafina. I need her. Yeah, we fixing to raise the meter to Aquafina. I need her.
Again, I forgot how long that was going to be, but I think it's a great topic as we get started with season 2, and we've got plenty of more fun topics to kind of get to.
Yes, sir.
In the coming weeks.
Lots of fun guests coming up too.
We're back. Yeah, hopefully next week. Spoiler alert. Hopefully next week we're going to have Brother Bruce on.
Yeah.
To kind of get started. And then, like I said, here in a couple of weeks, we're going to try to get all of the leaders on, which is going to be fun for me to try to figure out all this stuff
logistics.
To get multiple other people on. But it's going to be fun. We're really excited for season 2. But I got to know a little bit about Passion and how that went, because I think that was a very important time, special moment.
Mm-hmm.
I know we talk about it shouldn't be about an emotion of just a time. There has to be purpose behind that. But I also think that Passion also had those moments as well that weren't just emotion. It was truly God moving in a place.
Yeah. I mean, it was great as always. I always enjoy every time we get to go to the conference, and I don't know, it was just to me this year, I've always been the music. I mean, playing and singing like we do, the music is always something I'm excited about. New songs that people have written, and you get to hear those new songs and worship. And but this year, honestly, I think the speakers were what really stood out to me. Not that the music was not great, because it was. There were great moments of worship and that kind of thing. But the speakers, man, Jonathan Pokluda, his message was awesome. I mean, just awesome. I don't really know. I don't have many other words besides it spoke to me, and I'm sure many others in many different ways. The McClellan guy, I think is Earl. I think his name is.
Yeah.
His was great too. I mean, just so good.
Remind me, what was it? Because I wasn't at Passion. Noah and a couple other friends had gone.
He talked about tell the devil no, like the
That's it. No deal.
Yeah, no deal.
Because like I said, I wasn't there, but luckily they opened up the ability to be able to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried. I was behind, of course, but I tried to kind of watch, and I got to see most. I think I watched all, but maybe 2 or 3 that I wasn't able to watch. And you're right.
And then of course, Phil Wickham and Brandon Lake.
Phil Wick, man.
Their late night set was was pretty good too. I mean, it was pretty awesome. They did "Tear Off the Roof."
Oh yeah.
Always fun song, but
We might need to try to do that one day in the upstairs worship.
man, we'll try.
Tear off the roof.
We said the same thing about praise before D now.
Oh, yeah,
we were
true.
going to try praise. I was like, I don't know about that,
That's a
but
tough one.
turned out working out okay. But no, yeah, passion's always. I mean, it's always great. It's refreshing to, spend a couple days kind of unplugged from everything, work and school and different things that can be distracting. And get up there in Atlanta and kind of unplug from that and dive into just a couple days full of worship and messages and stuff. It was good.
Yeah, we talked about that, I think, last year. Some was that ability when you go on Passion or when you go on youth trips or conferences or whatever, how you have that ability to unplug from life and just focus on what it is that God's doing in your life and everybody around you in that surrounded time. So it was awesome to be able to watch and see some of those things that were going on. But I'm glad that you got to be there and enjoy it. There is something about the nighttime things. Like, you could be doing anything, but being at a conference or a youth event, whatever it is, it's something about when you have those nights where the whole group is together as a whole, and that community comes together, and music and the word, everything that's brought. It just, I don't know. There's something different about, like, it could also be because at 8:00 in the morning everybody's like this. Oh, I don't know. You're tired. I guess
Definitely
that could be part of it. So. But I'm
That's
glad
for
that
sure.
you got the opportunity to go and do that, and that's awesome. Thanks for letting us know and sharing about all
For
of
sure,
it.
man. Yeah.
Sharing about everything that there was. How about that? First episode's in the books. We're shy of an hour.
Wow.
We did a pretty good job.
Wow.
Because, like we talked about, we thought that this would be something we do for like 30 minutes
Yeah.
at the very beginning of this thing, and very quickly we realized, okay, this might not really be a 30-minute deal. This is going to be more like easily an hour.
Yeah.
Just about every time. So, as we always do, I'll at least wrap us up with a joke.
Oh, please
I'll
do.
try to get us some
I've
music.
been waiting for this. I haven't heard a good dad joke in a while.
Yeah, we kind of changed up some of the sound here for it too. So, Noah,
Yes.
what do you get when you pour ice cold water on a hot dog?
That's cold water on a hot dog. A cold hot dog. I don't know.
Chili dog. You get a chili dog. Whoop whoop. You got
Chili
anything you
dog.
want to tell everybody that's watching, listening out there before we get out of here?
Make sure they check us out on Instagram at GrowingUpstairs. Be on the lookout for different episodes to come.
Yes, sir.
We'll keep you updated on there. And just keep growing upstairs.
Keep growing upstairs. We'll check in with you next week.